340,000 pay-per-view buys worldwide. That's what Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol 2, the rematch for Undisputed that went down on the 22nd of February. That was the pay-per-view total numbers released by Ring Magazine. Now, to me, it's not a complete flop. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say like it's a flop, but I'm disappointed in those numbers. Do you know what I mean? I'm disappointed, and I'm gonna tell you why. Of course, I'm gonna tell you why. Do you know what I mean? I'm just keep it real with you. Look, for the stature of these two fighters, yeah, Bivol, Beterbiev, these are big household names in boxing. Do you know what I mean? These are massive names, man. Arguably two of the best light heavyweights of all time. Do you know what I mean? It's up to you, man. It's now these two, yeah, they've set the bar so high, yeah, it's all about preference now. It's up to you where you want to place them. Do you know what I mean? Some people might say Roy Jones, like the choices are endless, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But Beterbiev and Bivol, they are right up there among the best of all time. So I was expecting at least the bare minimum 500 or north of 500 pay-per-view buys. You know what I mean? When I say 500, of course, I'm talking 500,000 and north of that. Do you know what I mean? So when it comes in at 340, I'm like, yo, that's a bit disappointing. Do you know what I mean? Especially with the supporting cast as well. You know, you had Joseph Parker there. You had Shakur Stevenson. You had Hamza Shiraz as well. Like, he's like the poster boy for Riyadh season. Like, do you know what I mean? And Hamza Shiraz, Artur Beterbiev, Muslim fighters. Do you know what I mean? In that Middle Eastern area, I thought, yo, they're really going to get bigger sales. You know what I mean? But I guess it's one of them things where Riyadh season, Turkey al-Sheikh, yeah, they are heavily dependent on the Western market. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are heavily dependent on especially the UK and the US markets when it comes to like selling their fights. I feel like that's sometimes where they go wrong, because look, if you're heavily dependent on the UK and you're heavily dependent on the US, but then the fighters that are headlining are not from those countries, their sales overall are always going to be low, innit? Do you know what I mean? Especially if those fighters are not household names in those countries. Like Beterbiev, Bivol, to the hardcore fans in the UK and the US, of course, we know them, innit? I know them. I'll talk about them. I love them two guys. Fantastic fighters. Elite. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. But the casuals won't buy it. Especially in the US, the casuals won't buy it. In the UK, the biggest sports, yeah, in the UK, yeah, is football. Yeah, there's no competition. It's football. The Premier League, that's what everyone's watching. Do you know what I mean? That gets the big numbers. In the US, the competition is even more intense, mate. Because in the US, you got the NBA, NFL. What else you got? You got the hockey. You got mate. In the US, mate, let me know in the comments what I've missed out. In the US, the competition like is so intense. Like, for you to grab people's attention, mate, you need some superstars in there. Do you know what I mean? And without no disrespect, I'm saying this with all due respect in the world, yeah, for Bivol and Beterbiev, these guys are not superstars outside of boxing. Do you know what I mean? They're not bigger than life, larger than life type of character, type of figures. Do you know what I mean? Like, Beterbiev is very conservative. Do you know what I mean? As a devout Muslim. So he moves a little bit different. So does Bivol as well. Like, I see, yeah, I don't think he's as devout or anything like that in terms of religion. I haven't really seen anything like that, but he's not really out there. These guys are just pure boxers. They do all their talking in the ring. Do you know what I mean? I guarantee you, yeah, if you had Beterbiev fighting Jake Paul in Saudi Arabia, they're going to do 1 million. Do you know what I mean? They're going to do 1.5, even 2 million pay-per-view buys. Because Jake Paul is a superstar. You can call Jake Paul a gimmick. You can call him whatever you want, a joker, whatever. Call him everything under the sun. But the guy knows how to market himself, and he knows how to sell pay-per-views. Look at the numbers him and Tyson did. Like 200 million viewership on Netflix. Crazy. That's crazy. Crazy numbers, man. Do you know what I mean? So I was a little bit, that's what I'm saying. I'm a bit disappointed with Riyadh Season, Turkey Al Sheikh on how they actually market themselves outside of the West. Do you know what I mean? Because look, I understand why they market themselves like that in the West, because all the mechanics in the West are easy to like to maneuver in it. Do you know what I mean? Like in terms of the pay-per-views, the TV networks and stuff like that, it's probably easier to deal with in the West, the UK, like Canada, US, like, do you know what I mean, France, Germany and stuff like that. So it's a bit easier to get a pay-per-view setups in those countries. Do you know what I mean? Like in those regions. Like I feel like they need to do more work in the Middle East. They need to do more work in the Middle East to set up mechanics that will enable them, not just for Riyadh Season and Turkey Al Sheikh, but it will enable also like the viewing audience. Because I'm sure there is a lot of fans of boxing in the Middle East that want to watch these big fights. Do you know what I mean? But maybe the mechanics are not there. Do you know what I mean? And he explains why, because I was actually reading an article and he showed that the Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, like Riyadh Season, Turkey Al Sheikh, they lost like $100 million in pay-per-view sales here due to piracy. Do you know what I mean? I bet you a lot of that is coming from those regions where the mechanics are not tight. Do you know what I mean? Where piracy is rife. You know what I mean? So they need to do something about piracy in those regions, the Middle East, you know what I mean? The Southeast Asian markets, really tighten it up. Make it a little bit more easier for fans to access fights in terms of like, not just pricing, but like the mechanics, how things function around there. Like how easy is it for them to set up a pay-per-view? Do you know what I mean? Make it easy for them. I'm sure those fans will love to support a Muslim fighter like Beterbiev. Do you know what I mean? Because if you look at the overall package of Riyadh Season, Turkey Al Sheikh putting everything together, yeah, in terms of like the cinematics, the logistics and everything like that, yeah, like the pay-per-view sales, yeah, will not cover that. Like even the live gate receipts and everything like that, like they do events in arenas like 6,000. Do you know what I mean? They're not doing stadiums in Saudi Arabia or anything like that. So even the gate receipts and the pay-per-view sales worldwide won't cover the cost of the logistics, the cinematics of Riyadh Season to put their show together. Trust me, it costs millions for them to do that. So they're always working at a loss. They're in the red all the time. That's why you see Turkey Al Sheikh, he wants to set up the boxing league with Dana White. Because long term, even though in our eyes, because we're kind of become accustomed, we're used to Turkey Al Sheikh like throwing big events, paying people big fighters, big money and everything like that. We feel like, yo, these guys got endless, you know, like pit of money, whatever. Like it's a bottomless pit of money. Like the money will never end, you'll never dry up. They can buy the whole world. No, that's not the case. I'm sure, yeah, obviously initially they're trying to come into the market, want to get friendly with people. They're gonna splash the cash. They're gonna splash the cash. But eventually, he wants to stop that. Turkey Al Sheikh, Riyadh Season, they want to stop that. Do you know what I mean? Because the economics is just unbalanced. You can't work like that forever. It's just not gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? So imagine Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. They can't put these kind of shows on working at a loss. Economically, it just doesn't make no sense. Do you know what I mean? And long term, fighters can't be paid the money they are being paid right now if the numbers are not coming in like they should. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of thinking for Turkey Al Sheikh, the organizers of Riyadh Season to do. Do you know what I mean? Because this can't carry on because they're making a lot of losses. These guys, they pay celebrities and personalities to fly from all over the world, yeah, to come to their shows and give you some type of credibility. Do you know what I mean? That costs a lot of money, man. You're paying like Mike Tyson 500K, Justin Bieber 500K, like to come and sit ringside. Conor McGregor, I don't know how much they pay these guys to just sit ringside, yeah, to add some credibility, to add some glamour to your shows, yeah. You want the pay-per-view numbers to be big. Do you know what I mean? You want the pay-per-view numbers to be big. So I'm not blaming on the fighters on entirely or anything like that, but I do understand like Beterbiev, Bivol, they're not the great pay-per-view stars. They're not Joshua. They're not Canelo. Do you know what I mean? They're not Ryan Garcia. They're not those guys. Do you know what I mean? And it's not their fault. Listen, they're just great boxers. Do you know what I mean? They don't actually market themselves outside of boxing as much as I feel like they could. But listen, they just want to be boxers. That's fine. But I mean, it's not for everyone to do those type of things outside of boxing. Do you know what I mean? That's fair enough. But yeah, I just wanted to give my own little 2 cents on this whole pay-per-view buys for Beterbiev versus Bivol, and I just feel like he was a bit low. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a flop, but I'm actually a bit disappointed. It's the same like Tyson Fury versus Usyk 2, the rematch in Riyadh as well, like 500k buys worldwide. Do you know what I mean? Like again, I expected north of 600, north of 700 for those two because they're big. Fury's big, especially in the UK. He's massive, man. Usyk is big as well. Usyk is not a great pay-per-view seller unless he's got the right dancing partner. And he had Tyson Fury, but they still couldn't carry. Can you imagine Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua? Like, come on, that would do $1 million. That would do $1 million. Easy. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like some of these pay-per-view buys from Rhea season can be higher. Let's wait for the card that's coming up in May, yeah. That's going to be in Times Square where you go Ryan Garcia. Do you know what I mean? You go Teofimo Lopez and you go Devin Haney. All them guys there, you're going to see the numbers they do. We'll like just smash the numbers that we're getting from Rhea season. Do you know what I mean? Again, these guys are superstars in America. Ryan Garcia is massive in America. So he'll carry that whole card, you know, by himself. And then Haney and Teofimo Lopez, these are the supporting cast. Do you know what I mean? But Ryan Garcia is going to smash those pay-per-view numbers in America in Times Square. So we're going to have to wait for that. Again, that's a Rhea season card. Do you know what I mean? But overall, 350k, decent. But can they do better? Yes, of course. Like I said, Turkey ala Sheikh, if you're listening to this Rhea season, try and find better ways to market Rhea season in those Muslim nations, you know, in the Middle East, Southeast Asian markets. Really try to like find the right mechanics to make it easy to enable like the viewers, like the boxing fans that are in those countries to like purchase pay-per-views, make it more user-friendly for them. Do you know what I mean? So that, and also what that will do, it will get rid of some of the piracy because 100 million loss, that's crazy. 100 million, that's crazy. Listen, that's bankrupting a lot of their boxing promoters, man. Do you know what I mean? It's only because it's Turkey ala Sheikh, like he can take those type of hits because he's got money coming out from the royal Saudi royal family. But let me know in the comments, guys. Let me know, man. 340,000 pay-per-view sales for Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol 2. Do you think that's great numbers? For me, no, I'm a bit disappointed. But you might think that's good numbers, man. You might be like, yo, Enzo, that's actually decent numbers. Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it, man. Once again, thank you so much for watching EMGM Sports. I'm your boy, Enzo. Please don't forget to smash the like button. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe because that's the only way you're going to help us to grow. I'll be back real soon with another one. Until then, stay blessed, my people. Peace.